Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir tout le monde. Je m'excuse qu'on est quelques minutes en retard. Bienvenue aux séances ordinaires du Conseil municipal de la ville de Westmount pour le 7 février 2022. Welcome, everybody, to the council meeting of Monday, February 7th of 2022. I think we have a few updates tonight from councillors around the table. I just wanted to give an update or share a bit of my perspective on the news that was announced last week about Dawson College by the province, by the premier, and to share my disappointment. I don't think anyone's shocked that I would be extremely disappointed about that, and I think all of council joins me in being very discouraged with this news. It was a pivotal project for Quebec students of all backgrounds, not just Westmount. Westmount is a destination for schools. We have 2 stage-ups, we have 12 schools. We're a place that people come to study, and it's extremely discouraging to see this news. In 2014, so this project's been going on forever. In 2014, the Ministry of Higher Education recognized Dawson's space deficit of over 11,000 square meters. If you've ever been, just prior to COVID, I was at Dawson. I think I was with Councillor Gallery, and Councillor Kez was with me as well. I think it was the 3 of us, and we were in an event there, and it was unbelievable how packed it is. It is so evident that they needed an expansion. But what's so discouraging in this, it was this new pavilion, which was going to be part of its extension, was going to house 7 healthcare technical programs: biomedical, laboratory technology, nursing, diagnostic imaging, radiation oncology, physiotherapy, medical ultrasound, and social services. The purpose of this initiative, of the expansion, is to better accommodate the current number of students, not to expand its enrollment, but to support the training of the next generation of healthcare workers. We are hopefully at the tail end of a global health pandemic, and we are curbing the space needed for these students. It's just, it's actually kind of unthinkable 2 years into this pandemic that this is where we are cutting an investment in a school. And Dawson, as I mentioned before, Dawson reflects the diversity of Montreal. There are graduates across the Quebec's healthcare network in both English and French institutions, and they represent all Quebecers. So I don't know what, I will continue to push with this, with our M&A, with the province, that this expansion is critical not only to Dawson, but it was very, very important to the city as well, and in our commercial sector. And it brings, all these students bring an incredible amount of life to the street and to our commercial sector. So I would urge the Premier, I would urge Minister McCann, I would urge Minister Fitzgibbon to really take a long, hard look at the importance of Dawson for the province, not just for the Anglophone community, but for the province as a whole, and really reconsider the investment in this school that this school and these students so desperately need. So on that note, I will hand it over to others who have updates as well. But I encourage, if you support us in this stance, I would encourage you also to share your concerns with our M&A, to share your concerns with the provincial government, that this expansion of Dawson is critical. So we will start with Councillor D'Amico, who has some updates on all things financial.
So most of you probably received your municipal tax bills for this year. There were some glitches from the finance department. We will do better next time, obviously. I just wanted to stress the due date. So the first due date is February 25, 2022. And obviously the second due date is June 27, 2022. Just a clarification, the font is small. So I did receive the comments, and we'll do better next time. Thank you.
And just on that as well, there were some issues with my tax letter where there was a paragraph that got repeated, and there was some issues with the printer there. So we apologize on the bill side, but also on the communication side, we had some glitches. So apologies for that. I think we will next, Councillor Roux has an update.
Thank you. Yes, I just have good news. The library is reopening on Monday, the 14th. So we love our library appropriately on Valentine's Day. The staff is eager to see everyone again, and they've actually prepared little surprises for people who will be showing up on the 14th. Victoria Hall is partly open right now for children's sports program. It's also opening on the 14th completely. And live activities will be starting on February 22nd with the movie Nomadland. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Roux. I think everybody's going to be very pleased to, when the library opens, it's a sign that things are getting better. That's how I see it. So thank you. And I think Councillor Bostock has an update as well.
Good evening, everybody. Hang on a second. Needless to say, our snow removal has started. It started on Sunday at around 3 a.m. and is going to end this evening. We want to thank every resident for being patient through the 3 a.m. starts, but it really does allow our public security team to get that job done quickly and safely. Everything's going very well. As you can see, our toboggan run and the snow park and all of our rinks are open, so please make sure you go out there and enjoy. And you should have received our new collection schedule from Public Works. Looks like this within the last few days, and it really talks about the different collections, when they happen, about garbage, recycling, and compost. It's got comprehensive lists of what you can and cannot get rid of, and I really encourage you to keep it on hand and refer to it. It is a great tool. So that's all I have for today.
Christina, you're muted. Oops, sorry about that. Thank you, Councillor Bostock. Councillor Peart, I believe, has an update that, sorry, I had that out of order there. He has an important update of which I will comment on after as well.
Thank you, Madam la Mairesse. So later today, I will be passing for a motion to welcome the appointment of Mr. Clément Desmarais, who's an award-winning architect. He's urban planner, project management professional, as the chair of our Westmount Planning Advisory Committee and our Westmount Advisory Committee. Clément is replacing Julie Dershowitz, who has served in this position for 8 years now and has been a member of committees for much, much longer. And Julie is recognized as a world authority in conservation architecture. She's the co-founder of the firm Evoc, and an adjunct professor at McGill University. On a personal note, she was a professor of mine many years back, and she has been an advocate for Westmount. She's been a passionate participant and observer for Westmount, and she has, throughout her career and throughout her tenure on PAC, she has been she has served with the strongest commitment to our city and in the interest of preserving the built heritage and environment of our city. So we're grateful to Ms. Dershowitz for her passion and for her years of service, and I wish to thank her on behalf of all Westmounters. Additionally, we have an outgoing member, Mr. Eric Morosi, and excuse me, and we also are welcoming Mr. David Hanna, who's a retired UCAM professor. He's an urban heritage specialist, very well, has a great deal of expertise in the built history and in particularly in housing. And so he'll be a welcome addition to the PAC. A little bit more on Mr. Desmarais. He's worked with the City of Montreal. He Société Cadet. He is general director of the Quartier International de Montréal, now known as Société Agile. He has a tremendous amount of experience. He has won 32 national and international awards. He's a full professor. He teaches part-time in the Faculty of Urban Planning at the University of Montreal, and he's the head of graduate studies and project management for the built environment. So like I said, we are very well served. We are fortunate to have him join the pack. We are fortunate to have Mr. Hanna join the pack. And we have a lot ahead of us. And with this refreshed membership, we have great things ahead of us. And we look forward to it.
Thank you, Councillor Peart. And I would join you in thanking Julia Gershowitz, Ms. Gershowitz, for all that she has done for our city, for her commitment to our built heritage and for its preservation. And she has, I mean, her influence is all over the city, especially. And if we, we were just talking about the reopening of the library and how important that is. And it was Julia Gershowitz who was the architect on the expansion there. So we, on behalf of all of council, I would like to thank her. And I would also like to thank Mr. Morosi, who served 8 years as well on the PAC. And thank you for their contribution to the city. And I welcome the new members who have a lot of experience as well, which was obviously very important, but I look forward to working with them. Yes, but I think all of council joins me in thanking both Mr. Morosi and Ms. Gershowitz. So thank you for that update. Any other updates from your end, Councillor Peart? No?
No, I just realized that I missed out on welcoming yet another member, Ms. Carol Sheffer, who is a past member of PAC, past chair of PAC, and we are welcoming her back into the fold, and we'll be benefiting from her long years of experience as well as an architect on the PAC.
Thank you. Councillor Gallery, I think you had an update as well.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick one tonight. As most of you know, the youth recreation programs resumed last Monday, January 31st, and we're still waiting to hear about the adult programming. So please stay tuned. The moment we hear anything from the provincial government, we will be pivoting, and please check our websites, and we will be communicating with everyone. We are full winter right now, so please take advantage of our outdoor skating rinks, our cross-country ski trails, both in the Westmount Athletic Grounds and the King George Park, and the toboggan runs and snow park in King George Park again, and all the many outdoor arenas. So it's we're still in the winter season, but we're getting there slowly, getting through it. So enjoy while you can. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Aronson, I think you had an update as well.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. As always, I will continue to reiterate that our Westmount businesses are suffering during COVID, and now that things are reopening, especially and it's possible for those of us who are able to do so to go and dine in a restaurant. I strongly encourage all Westmount residents to come out and support the businesses that they know and love and that make our city a vibrant and wonderful place to live. But on a less encouraging note, or a less happy note, some of you may know that there was a water main break on Irvine this past week. It has already been a very difficult time during COVID and this very cold winter and the resurgence for most of us, but for the folks on Irvine who are flooded, it's been even more difficult. And so I wanted to express on behalf of council and the administration of the city our sympathies to those who have been inconvenienced by this flooding, and to let them know that of course we're thinking of them, and this is the reason that our Public Works Department works so very, very hard to get to all of the aged infrastructure as quickly as it can to prevent these sorts of things from happening. Regrettably, they do happen from time to time, so I've got to thank the folks from Public Works and from the fire department who were on site extremely quickly to try to minimize and mitigate the damages that did occur. It doesn't make anybody feel less wet or less uncomfortable, but I'm glad to see that our emergency responses work the way they were supposed to. And as we move forward, if there's anything that residents on Irvine need from their elected officials, I encourage you to contact me by email at matt.m.aronson@westmount.org, and stay, try to stay positive as the cleanup continues. We are thinking of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's all with the, Councillor D'Amico. Yes.
Sorry, one slight correction. When I was looking at my property tax bill, the second payment is actually due May 27, 2022. Like I said, the font is not very clear, but it's actually May 27, 2022. Sorry about the previous error.
Thank you for that and thank you for the update. Merci tout le monde pour toutes les mises à jour. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres commentaires avant qu'on commence avec la première période de questions? No? Okay. So we will start with the first question period avec la première période de questions. Monsieur le greffier.
Oui, Madame la mairesse, nous avons reçu 7 questions. La première nous vient de Madame Ava Schisling. Hello all, why are Westmount streets in such poor condition? It is impossible to promote alternative forms of transport like biking when it is downright dangerous to ride on these roads, even in a car. Many countries have cold winters and do not have this problem. Can we look into that and start paving?
Thank you, Ms. Chisling, for your question, your commentary. I think anyone who was driving around in the past couple of days noticed certainly a resurgence of the winter potholes that make it unpleasant to drive around. But I agree with you that we need to invest in our sidewalks, our roads, our streets. It's why we are having yet again an increase in infrastructure spending in our budget, and we are catching up and we are prioritizing the ones that need to be done. It's often driven by the underground network, so it's often driven by the state of the water network, the investment, but rest assured, I think all of council joins me in that this is a priority to keep up this pace of infrastructure work. So, and to fill there's certainly lots of potholes that are making their winter debut right now. So does anyone else want to comment on that? No?
Just that if there's a particularly bad pothole that is noticed, I mean, our public works crews are out and filling those holes as quickly as they see them. But if there's one in particular that we may have missed in a particular day, please feel free to notify public works and they will prioritize getting that pothole fixed.
And there is a space on the website where you can report that. You can also call public works. I reported one today to the Director General between Westmount Avenue and Côte Saint-Antoine on Victoria. So okay, thanks for the update, Councillor Bostock. Puis la prochaine question.
Prochaine question nous vient de Monsieur Nicolas Nantel. Hi, I would like a follow-up on the Belvedere. I understand there is a structural problem, but nothing has been done since a year and a half. Is there going to be construction soon, since it seems like dangerous if you closed it into the public? If you closed it to the public, it's one of the most attractive things of our city, and it feels like it's been ditched and forgotten with the pandemic. Thanks for response.
Thank you, Mr. Nantel, for your question. I agree with you. It has been a long time. I think the Director General might want to fill us in on the process. We have gone out to try and seek contractors to do the work. That's proven to be very challenging, but our intent is definitely to have it reinforced for it to be safe. That's the reason why it's not open right now, for it to be safe, and then eventually to be able to redesign it so it is not just a paved over parking lot. So I don't know, Mr. Hakeem, do you want to add anything in terms of the the contracting process for this?
Obviously, without going into too much detail, I'd like to just correct a little bit what was said. A lot has been done in the sense where we've been looking at finding a solution for the lookout for quite a while right now. Sadly, even though we went out to tender at repetitive times, it seems like the market is not right now ready to give us a bid that is conforming to our understanding of the project. So we'll be moving forward by keeping hard at working at this to find a solution in order to try and reopen ASAP. But please rest assured, Mr. Nantel, that we are definitely doing something about it.
Thank you. Next question. Prochaine question.
Third question from Madame Rita Bicoin. Hello, I would like to know if the city has a plan for families with young kids regarding daycares. It's quite impossible to find availabilities in daycare at Westmount, even private. And we do bring our child to NDG daycare.
Thank you for your question. This is very much, daycares are obviously managed by the province because it falls under their jurisdiction. We have a few daycares here of which we have worked with them to ensure that they, if one in particular, Narnia, which is a CPE, recently had to move. And we worked with them. And while we don't grant the daycare license, we can't, that is not within our jurisdiction at all. We were able to make adjustments to the nearby park to make sure it was safe for kids that age, for kids under 5. And we are obviously always willing to work with a daycare, but we don't get to grant the license. But it is, this is an issue that a couple others who have wanted to open have faced with the province, in that it falls within an area in a zone which says that there are adequate numbers, but clearly the waiting lists are showing that that is not the case. And so one in particular has fought very hard to get her license or to get a license for this daycare within this territory, and has been successful in the end, but it was not without its challenges. But I agree with you. And as I said before, when I was talking about Dawson, it is a destination for schools. Certainly, if there is a demand for it, I would hope that the province would grant more daycare licenses. Question, does anyone else want to comment on that? Next question, question.
Question from Monsieur Denis Biro. It's been almost 6 years since an update of the renovation guidelines was launched by the city. What is the progress so far, the next steps planned, and the forecast completion date? Thank you.
It's a very detailed question. Councillor Peart, do you want to add anything to this? Question from Mr. Biro about guidelines.
Well, as I've mentioned before, the guideline review it's been longer and more complex than we had originally hoped. And what's happened over the past few years is that there have been some incremental changes, but also there's been an overall restructuring of our bylaws in preparation for the change in content, which is yet to come. So, Mr. Biro, I do not have a definitive date for you, but all I can say is that a lot of work has been done. There's a new management team in place. There are new procedures in place in terms of permit processing. Now that that foundation work is done, we'll be able to kind of scaffold on a look at the way our bylaws have been written in terms of their content, and that will, of course, engender some public consultation. It will engender some reflection. It requires a good deal of research onto the built status of our city. We are very much lacking in real data. We are very much lacking in some. Well, I'll go back to the data, but I mean, there is a lot of work to be done. But I can now say that the team is in place. The motivation has always been there, and now I am confident that you'll be able to see some progress soon. And you can hold me to it because I know that you will. I invite you to come back in a few months' time so that I can provide you with some kind of an update with some clearer milestones that we can achieve.
Thank you. Next question.
It's a second question from Mr. Biro. According to the tender of the agenda tonight for recycling, Ricova is the company that has been selected. A few days ago, a CBC investigation into the handling of paper products sent to India from Canada for recycling revealed that there was severe contamination of the paper with plastic bags, way above the applicable standard and clearly identified as coming from Quebec. Ricova was identified as the company that picked up the paper material for recycling and shipped it. The company states that the Quebec division had no responsibility in this issue. As climate is now critical, do all city contracts with any supplier now contain a clause to require the supplier to affirm that it meets the applicable environment regulations?
Thank you for your very detailed question. I would actually, I think we can get back to in response in writing to you, Mr. Bureau, on this one. I don't know if the DG or the city clerk wants to answer any of those details about it, but Ricova was awarded the contract for the city of Westmount the last time we went out and changed the contractors for recycling because it was the lowest conforming bid for the contract. Do you have any other info you want to add to that, information you want to add to that, Mr. Hakeem? No? Okay. We can, Mr. Bureau, we have your email contact, so we will follow up with you on that. Next question, question.
Question from Mr. John Fritz. Good evening, Madam Mayor and councillors. Madam Mayor, I can't find the result of the indoor pool feasibility study commissioned in the spring of 2019. Has it been complete? And if not, can it presently be conducted and conclude in a timely manner? Given that we might have a public consultation on projects such as the Hillside project, it would be advantageous to have a study pertaining to cost and different models of an indoor pool. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I believe the report was posted. I'll have to check with the Director General of what's other. We don't have the full feasibility study of the pool analysis at this point. But as you mentioned, Hillside, I know that it has come up in some commentary from residents over the years while Hillside has sort of been in the process of redevelopment, and the site of Hillside does not allow for a pool. It is not big enough. The original proposal that had been floated around was a very narrow pool, which would not make sense for a municipal pool on that Hillside site. So just to clarify on that point, because I know some people have asked about that. Next question.
It is the last question from Mr. John Fritz. So a second question. Madam Mayor, I note on the agenda that there is a contract for replanting trees at King George Park. Can the public express opinion on the types of trees to be planted? At the Belmont entrance on the brow of the hill overlooking the vista to the St. Lawrence River, there used to be mighty trees as benefits such a park. When a grove of older trees died, some deeply looking Japanese lilacs were planted where elms and other grand species once grew, typical of Eastern hardwood. My question is there some looking after the park like a custodian, and do we get to have any input? Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Fretz, for your input. That item that you were referring to has actually been withdrawn from tonight's agenda on King George Park, but it is noted your commentary on the trees in the entrance. And yes, we do have an arborist who works with us, and when needed, we go out with expert opinion. But thank you for your input on that. And we know that this park is, like all our parks, is incredibly important, and our residents feel very passionate about the tree canopy for the city. Anyone else want to comment on that?
Sure. I'd like to add that when we get to planting in King George Park, the plan would have been and will be eventually 50 trees of diverse biodiversity that will be selected by the forestry engineers. So the intention is to have as much diversity as possible, and I'm sure when the time comes, we'll be welcoming input at that to see.
Yeah, but it's a reminder, as Mr. Fretz knows all too well, because he's also very passionate about Summit Woods. is that our trees are part of our heritage of our city, are part of our, our infrastructure, and they are, they need to be managed. And we need to invest in them, and we need to properly maintain our urban forest. So is that it for questions?
We have another question from Mr. Nigel.
Okay, Mr. Nigel, which I'm assuming is Mr. Nigel Goddard.
That's right.
I have a question. I'm not sure anyone else can see this. I have a question regarding the flood on Irvine. So,
Yes.
Mr. Goddard, you may ask your question.
Okay, good evening, Council, and happy belated New Year. I was one of the people who was directly affected by that flood on Irvine. I'd just like to add to Councillor Aronson. The first thing I'd like to do is to thank the professionalism of not only the firemen that came in, firemen and women, who did an excellent job. They were eager to drain my basement of about 5 centimeters of water, but also the crew that stood in the cold and dug the hole in Irvine to find the leak. Now, my question is, I had noticed that there was a dent in the street where they eventually dug to find the leak. The dent had appeared about 3 years ago, and I've mentioned it before. But I've been informed quite a bit by Public Works about how streets work in the last week, so I won't ask those questions. But the question I have for Council, and there's two, is, and it's been brought up quite often, the state of the streets in Westmount is, to be quite honest, the laughingstock of other municipalities. And there seems to be a comment that, well, why does Westmount, a city that is sort of the jewel of the island, have streets like this? So that's more of a comment. But the last question I'm going to ask is, can there be a schedule of the streets to be repaired? So, for example, is there a way of communicating with us the schedule for repairing Sherbrooke Street, Claremont, Irvine, Abbott, Hillside, streets, St. Catherine? Can there be a published schedule for these streets to be repaired?
You mean beyond sort of the 2 years out that we could, I mean, obviously we vote on a capital works budget with the intention, within that envelope, we know which roads and infrastructure that we want to do. So, this year, again, we are doing a record amount of work, or our intention is to do a record amount of work. So you mean beyond that year, you want like I just want to be clear what you're asking for specifically. Right. 5 years out, 10 years out, 20 years out, because we do know the work that needs, we know what work needs to be done.
Right. I can't help thinking that had Irvine been reconstructed within the last 2 decades that I've lived here, I can't help thinking that that problem that caused the flood, and it flooded 3 or 4 of my neighbors, I can't help thinking that if our street had been reconstructed, that leak might not have happened. I can't say for certain. I'm sure that newly reconstructed streets can also spring a leak as well, because of the kind of weather that we have and all sorts of other factors that I'm learning about now. But specifically to my question about having a schedule, if I know that my street is going to be done in the next 3 years, psychologically for me, that's going to keep me quiet. And I would imagine other citizens as well who want to see their streets repaved or reconstructed. It's just knowing, and you can plan for it. Maybe if there's going to be a disruption for 6 months, for example, maybe those of us who have the means can plan our vacations around that extended work, like they did on Stayner in District 8. They can have, if we're conveyed that in 2 years' time, Claremont is going to be reconstructed, the citizens there can
prepare. Yeah, and that's the intention, is that citizens are prepared and consulted. So now the change as well is that we talk to the citizens on the street, and as you may not have seen it because you don't live in that neighborhood, but on Mount Pleasant. But it's not just Mount Pleasant, it's the area around Mount
Exactly.
Pleasant as well, where we have gone out with a poll where they've given their feedback. They live on the street. They know it best. They live in the neighborhood. They understand the dynamics of it best. And so then we've done the same thing with Lexington. So they compile that to then come, we don't want to just rebuild the street in the exact same way. And it needs to be improved. So that's how we come to that. So yes, I understand what you're saying about future work and having a better idea of going down the road. So we're doing that for a year out, but I think what you're asking is for further than a year out at this point, which the engineering department is obviously works on a very long-term plan. They know the state of all the infrastructure. So your point is noted. I would say, Mr. Goddard, and does anyone else on council want to comment on that? Mr. Hakeem, our Director General was going to comment as well.
Well, we did bring up the point of asset management in the past, and Councillor Peart can chime in, I guess. We are tending towards a better asset management, and this is definitely down the line of that. So definitely in terms of the future, we will be planning longer ahead of time. But mind you, in some cases, we are going to have to be careful because the City of Montreal is involved in the process of planning where we don't have full control of what goes on in the underground. But thank you for your comment, Mr. Godard, and we'll definitely take that into account.
And
Thank you.
well, thank you for answering my question, and congratulations to all the councillors that won the last election.
Thank you, Nigel or Mr. Goddard. And I just, again, I know it was incredibly disruptive to the residents of Irvine, and you were one of them. So I hope that it is not too complicated going forward for you now and for the other residents that were affected. But we will certainly pass on your message to the team at Public Works so that they know that you and your neighbors appreciated their work the night of or the day of. Thank you. I think that's it for questions.
No, we
Mr.
received another question, Madam Mayor, from Madam Alicia Hamilton. Good evening. I do not have access to a microphone, but wanted to ask about the status of Maisonneuve between Atwater and Wood. The signage says it is closed, but I was informed that it was open. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hamilton, for your question. The road is open to the work that was being done and took so long was work that was being done by the STM for the Atwater Metro. That is completed. The road is now open to, I believe, just one lane of traffic at this point. And we are looking at ways to further improve that street in terms of some traffic calming measures. So, and to make it much more pedestrian friendly, as you know, it's the entrance to the Metro, several office buildings, but also to Dawson College. So, but the road is open. Thanks for your question. Anyone else want to comment on that? No, Mr. Hakeem?
Just to add to that, like later this week, the administration will be coming forward with some new propositions as to a more permanent solution for Maisonneuve. Right now, what's been put there is just a temporary solution in order to reopen and change the behavior of cars in that area. So we will be coming forward with some ideas this week to council.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's it for questions. So we will now move into the next part of the agenda, with the adoption of the agenda, l'adoption de l'ordre du jour. Conseiller Chamy.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Pardon me. I move that the agenda of the regular council sitting of the 7th of February be adopted with the following modifications. Removal of item 8, creation and nominations, Mobility Advisory Committee, MAC. Removal of item 16, call for public tenders, tree cutting and stump removal in King George Park, PUB 2021-052. Removal of item 17, call for public tenders, tree planting in King George Park, PUB 2021-053. And the addition of item 27.01, appointment members of the Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, under new business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Madame Roux, Councillor Roux. All in favor? Carried. Item number 5, numéro 5, approbation des procès-verbaux. Encore, Monsieur Chamy.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Je propose que les procès-verbaux des séances extraordinaires et ordinaires du Conseil tenu le 17 janvier 2022 soient approuvés.
Thank you very much. A seconder on that will be Councillor Gallery. All in favor? Carried. Item number 6, rapport au Conseil de correspondance 6.1. Le document suivant est déposé. Liste de règlements adoptés lors de l'Assemblée ordinaire du Conseil d'agglomération tenue le 27 janvier 2022. 6.2, Conseiller Chamy.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Le procès verbal de la rencontre du comité plénier du Conseil du 14 décembre 2021 est déposé et est disponible sur le site web de la Ville.
Merci beaucoup. 6.3, encore Monsieur Chamy, rapport de la main-d'œuvre.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Le rapport de main-d'œuvre pour le mois de décembre 2021 est déposé.
Thank you. 6.4, the payment registry, Councillor D'Amico.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. La liste des paiements pour le mois de décembre 2021 est déposée.
Merci beaucoup. 6.5, 6.5, liste d'approbation en vertu du règlement 1507, Conseiller Chamy, list of approvals in virtue of Bylaw 1507.
Thank you, Madame Mayor. Conformément au règlement 1507 sur la délégation du pouvoir à certains employés de la Ville de Westmount, la liste d'autorisation de dépenses pour le mois de décembre 2021 est déposée.
Thank you very much. 6.6, list of duties on transfer invoices, Councillor D'Amico.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The list of duties on transfers for the month of January 2022 is tabled.
Thank you very much. Item number 7, adoption of council's position on the items to be submitted to the Montreal Urban Agglomeration Council, Councillor Chamy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the mayor, or in her absence, the acting mayor, be authorized to make any decisions she deems necessary and in the best interest of the city of Westmount and its residents regarding the items on the agenda of the Montreal Agglomeration Council meeting to be held on February 24th, 2022.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Councillor Aronson. All in favor? Carried. Item number 8 is removed from the agenda. Item number 9. Item number 9 is Journée de la persévérance scolaire, appui de la Ville de Westmount, Conseiller Roux. Vous êtes sur Sodine. You're on mute.
Whereas the Hooked on School Days campaign, which brings together several partners, will be held from Friday, February 14th to February 18th, 2022, under the theme, Thanks for Making It Meaningful, and that these days are intended to be a high point in the year, demonstrating the collective mobilization around school perseverance and success. Whereas in 2020 and 2021, school year has been difficult, and that the 2021-2022 school year is just as difficult for the youth as well as for all the actors of the education system. Whereas the support and kind presence of all adults is paramount during this period. Whereas the elected municipal officials want to show their solidarity and support for the youth and for all the actors in the education network. Whereas the elected municipal officials collaborate in the efforts of the Montreal community in the area of school perseverance and educational success, among others, through the movement Réussite éducative, les élus s'engagent of Concertation Montreal. So I move that the city of Westmount proclaim the week of February 14th to February 18th, 2022 as Hooked on School Days. That the city unanimously and publicly express its solidarity and support for the youth and for all the actors in the education system. That the city support the Hooked on School Days 2022 campaign under the theme, Thank you for being a carrier of meaning, and invite elected officials to participate.
Thank you very much, Councillor Roux. A seconder on this will be Councillor D'Amico. I think this is an important initiative that we've joined with other mayors of the demerged cities, but as well with the city of Montreal in supporting this movement and recognizing that the past 2 years really have been difficult on so many students, and really encouraging the province especially to put the resources behind keeping vulnerable kids or kids that might exit school early in the school system and making that investment. So I'm pleased that Westmount is supporting this initiative. All in favor? Carried. Item number 10, numéro 10, entente de partenariat, Centre des loisirs de Westmount et le YMCA de Westmount, Centre de jeunesse. Councillor Gallery.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whereas at its regular sitting held on April 8th, 2014, Council approved a partnership agreement between the City of Westmount and the YMCAs of Quebec, Westmount, for the creation of a youth center at the Westmount Recreation Center, resolution number 2014-04-08, whereas the agreement provides for the annual renewal of the partnership. I move that the partnership between the City of Westmount and the YMCAs of Quebec, Westmount, be renewed. That the 2022 annual financial contribution for the youth center located at the Westmount Recreation Center be authorized for a total amount of $56,192 and be allocated in accordance with the financial information contained in the decision-making summary number 2022-1461 and the partnership agreement. That the city's financial contribution be paid in 2 equal installments, the first being payable on February 15th, 2022, and the second on July 15th, 2022.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Councillor Aronson. Any further comments on this partnership?
This is our annual investment in the Westmount Teen Zone that we work closely with the Westmount Y, and it's a wonderful program for our high school students to have a place to go and participate in activities.
Perfect. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item number 11 is Councillor D'Amico, demande d'exemption de taxe foncière, bibliothèque et centre informatique Atwater. The application for property tax exemption, Atwater Library and Computer Center. Councillor D'Amico.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whereas the Act respecting municipal taxation provides for the periodic review or recognition giving rise to a property tax exemption granted by the Commission Municipale du Québec, hereinafter the Commission, every 9 years. Whereas the Atwater Library and Computer Center, hereinafter the Library, obtained such recognition on November 29, 2012, with respect to the land and building constituting the immovable located at 1200 Atwater Avenue in Westmount, excluding 3 parking spaces. Whereas the library has again submitted to the Commission an application for recognition giving rise to a property tax exemption for the land and building constituting the immovable located at 1200 Atwater Avenue in Westmount, excluding room 8B. Whereas Council believes that it is appropriate to confirm the recognition giving rise to a property tax exemption for this organization insofar as, after an analysis and investigation, the Commission comes to the conclusion that the library still meets the conditions required to confirm such a tax exemption. I move that the Municipal Council indicates that it is in favor of the Atwater Library and Computer Center's application for a property tax exemption insofar as the Commission Municipale du Québec concludes that the said organization still meets the conditions required to confirm such a tax exemption.
Thank you, Councillor D'Amico. A seconder, I'm sure, will be Councillor Kez on this. Any further comments? It's pretty straightforward in the summary. Okay, perfect. All in favor? Carried. Item number 12, numéro 12, le Fonds d'assurance responsabilité professionnelle du Barreau du Québec, the Professional Liability Insurance Fund of the Barreau du Québec. Councillor Shammy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whereas at its sitting held December 6, 2021, the Municipal Council appointed Maître Stéphanie Zhao Liu to the position of Advisor Legal Services in the City Clerk's Office for a period of 1 year. And whereas at its sitting held on December 20th, 2021, the Municipal Council appointed Maître Denis Ferland to the position of Director of Legal Services and City Clerk's Office, resolution number 2021-12-271. Whereas Maître Liu and Maître Ferland are in the exclusive employment of the City of Westmount, And whereas the city of Westmount already maintains professional liability insurance for its employees, I move, Madame Mayor, that council declare for the purpose of the Règlement sur l'assurance de la responsabilité professionnelle du barreau du Québec, RLRQCB1R 1.2, the city of Westmount will indemnify, defend, and be financially responsible for the consequences of any errors or omissions by Maître Stéphanie Jao-Liu and Maître Denis Ferland.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this, Councillor D'Amico. Any further comments? No? All in favor? Carried. Item number 13, contractual commitments payment for the 2022 fiscal year. Again, Councillor D'Amico.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Entendu que lors de sa séance extraordinaire tenue le 17 janvier 2022, le Conseil municipal a adopté le budget pour l'exercice financier 2022, résolution numéro 2022-01-02. Attendu qu'au cours des dernières années, le Conseil municipal a accordé des contrats d'une durée de plus d'1 an et a autorisé des dépenses connexes pour l'année en cours. Attendu que les dépenses pour les 10 contrats doivent être autorisées pour l'année financière 2022, j'appuie d'autoriser les dépenses pour l'année financière 2022 pour les contrats énumérés à la liste ci-jointe, d'imputer ces dépenses conformément aux informations financières inscrites au sommaire décisionnel numéro 2022-1459.
Merci beaucoup. Un appuyeur, c'est a seconder on this, Conseil Chamy. Any further comments? Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres commentaires on this? No. All in favor? Carried. Item number 14 is group purchase of diesel fuel containing renewable fuel. Councillor Bostock.
I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $315,896.58, including tax credits for the 2022 fiscal year for the purchase of diesel fuel containing renewable fuel tender number STM-5355-03-16-54 to award to Suncor Energy Products Partnership lowest conforming bidder the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $656,486.64 plus taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the public call for tenders STM-5355-03-16-54 to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2022-1466.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Councillor D'Amico. Any further comments?
It's we get a better price by for our group purchase of fuel, so it's more cost efficient to do it this way.
Okay. All right. All in favor? Carried with the hopes that we buy less fuel. Would be one point that I can see Councillor Aronson is dying to mention. So, which is a goal of this council. So, item number, all in favor? Yes, we took a vote on that. Item number 15, purchase of electrical meters for Hydro Westmount. Councillor Chamy.
And Madam Mayor, electrical meters as opposed to diesel fuel. So,
yeah.
I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $164,584. Including tax credits for the purchase of electrical meters for Hydro Westmount, notice of intention number DDP 2022-001 to award to GF Tech Controls, Inc., the contract for this purpose for the maximum amount of $189,230.45, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents and the notice of intention number DDP 2022-001. And finally, to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2022-1463.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Councillor Aronson. Any further comments, Councillor Chamy?
Straightforward. We just need it's a tender for more meters.
Okay, thank you. Items 16 and 17 have been pulled from tonight's agenda. Item number 18 is call for public tenders, purchase of plants for annual planting, Conseil Gallery.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $81,180.14, including tax credits, for the purchase of plants for annual planting, tender number PUB-2021-059, to award to Les Serres Riel Inc. the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $88,902.83, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the call for tenders PUB-2021-059, to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2022-1469.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gallery. A seconder on this, Councillor Roux. Any further comments as we get ready for spring and the summer plantings?
Getting ready for spring. It's good news.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. Item, and I believe we are on item 19, renouvellement d'un contrat collecte et transport des matières recyclables pour la ville de Westmount. Councillor Aronson, Conseiller Aronson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is, I'm going to read the whereas because it's kind of important. Whereas following the call for public tenders number PW 2018-1025, the Municipal Council awarded the contract for the collection and transport of recyclable materials for the City of Westmount to Services Ricova Inc. And this was by resolution number 2019-0111. And whereas that contract includes the option to renew it twice at the discretion of the city for a period of 12 months. And whereas the Director of Public Works recommends renewing the contract for the period of April the 1st, 2022 to March the 31st, 2023, I so move that we authorize the renewal of the contract awarded as part of the call for public tenders PW 2018-1025 to Services Ricova Incorporated for the collection and transport of recyclable materials for the City of Westmount, resolution number 2019-01-11, for the period from April the 1st, 2022 to March the 31st, 2023, for a maximum amount of $337,659.86, including taxes. Further, that we authorize the expenditure in the amount of $246.34, including tax credits, for the 2022 fiscal year for the purpose of this contract, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the call of tenders PW 2018-1025. And finally, that we allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2018-0674 and 2022-1460.
Thank you, Councillor Aronson. A seconder on this motion will be Councillor Bostock. Any further comments? Yes, Councillor Aronson.
Just one, Madam Mayor. This is a program that is extremely important and extremely expensive, and therefore I would urge not only council to pass it, but the residents to use it. If you yourself or know anyone who does not already recycle, please make use of this program. It's extremely important. Thank you.
Perfect. And all in favor? Carried. And keeping on that theme, we move to item number 20, renewal of a contract collection and transport of household waste and organic materials. Again, Councillor Aronson.
Second verse, same as the first. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Here we go. So whereas following the call for public tenders number PW 2019-1028, the Municipal Council awarded the contract for the collection and transport of household waste and organic matter to de Richburg Canada Environment Incorporated by resolution number 2019-03-47. And whereas that contract includes the option to renew it twice at the discretion of the city for a period of 12 months. And whereas the Director of Public Works recommends renewing the contract for the period of May the 1st, 2022 to April the 30th, 2023. I so move the following, that we authorize the renewal of the contract awarded as part of the call for public tenders PW 2019-1028 to de Richburg Canada Incorporated for the collection and transportation of household waste and organic matter by resolution number 2019-0347 for the period of from May the 1st, 2022 to April the 30th, 2023 for a maximum amount of $1,038,287.96, including taxes. That we authorize or to authorize the expenditure in the amount of $630,932.23, including tax credits, for the 2022 fiscal year for the purpose of this contract, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of calls for tender PW 2019-1028, and to allocate the expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making files number 2019-0711 and 2021-1414.
Thank you, Councillor Aronson. A seconder on this will be, who will second this motion? Councillor D'Amico. Thank you. Any further comments?
If I may, Madam
Yes.
Mayor, as with recycling, the composting program is also extremely important and costly. We're paying a lot of money to make sure that our household waste is properly delivered to places where it can be reused as compostable materials, becomes soil. It's good for the earth. There are a number of residents here in Westmount who would very much like to use this program, which I urge council to renew, but they live in large buildings where their building managers or owners haven't yet taken up the call to make space for this program in their buildings. If you are one of these people or know somebody who is a resident who'd like to make use of compost but cannot, please speak to your landlord and make sure they know this program may be available for your building. And the only thing keeping you from composting at this time is the renewal of this contract, which will be renewed in a moment, and the will of your landlord. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would reiterate what Councillor Aronson said. Our intention is to expand the composting program to increase its use in the city. And once you start composting, you will never go back. So all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item number 21, Councillor Shammy. 21, le conseiller Chamy, et c'est les avis de motion au règlement 1584 sur le code d'éthique et la déontologie des élus municipaux de la ville de Westmount. Councillor Shammy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I give notice of the intention to submit for adoption at a subsequent meeting of council bylaw number 1584 entitled A Bylaw Respecting the Code of Ethics and Good Conduct of Elected Municipal Officers of the City of Westmount. I wish to table, or the object of this bylaw, Madam Mayor, is number one, to prioritize the values of which council members base their decisions and contribute to a better understanding of the city's values. Two, to establish standards of behavior that promote these values in an integral part of the decision-making process by elected officials, as well as in their general conduct. Three, to prevent ethical conflicts, and if they arise, to help resolve them effectively and appropriately. And four, to ensure the enforcement of the Code of Ethics and Good Conduct in the event of ethical breaches. A copy of this draft bylaw is tabled and available for public consultation, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Shammy. Since it's tabled, it doesn't require it's just giving notice of motion, doesn't require a vote. Item number 22, adoption of bylaw 1581 to establish the tariffs for the 2022 fiscal year. L'adoption au règlement 1581 visant à établir les tarifs pour l'exercice financier 2022. Le greffier, Monsieur le greffier.
Excusez-moi. Oui, alors l'objet du règlement est d'établir les tarifs et les frais d'utilisation à percevoir pour l'exercice financier 2022. Alors, je vous signale que les tarifs indiqués au paragraphe A, B, E et I de l'article 34 du projet de règlement ont été modifiés.
Merci beaucoup. Est-ce que je peux avoir la déclaration, je m'excuse, est-ce que je peux avoir la déclaration de la part de chaque membre du conseil présent à la fait qu'il ou elle a lu le règlement? Declared. Merci beaucoup. Conseiller D'Amico.
J'appuie que le règlement numéro 1581 intitulé Règlement visant à établir les tarifs pour l'exercice financier 2022 soit adopté.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Councillor Kez. Thank you. Any further comments? Councillor D'Amico on this or anyone else? No? All in favor? Carried. I declare that bylaw 1581 entitled bylaw to establish tariffs for the 2022 fiscal year having been duly adopted is ordered that notices be given as required by law. Item number 23, tabling of the Planning Advisory Committee minutes. Councillor Peart.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. As usual, I'll dispense with the whereas and just go right to the motion. I move that council acknowledge and accept the minutes of the Planning Advisory Committee held on January 25th of 2022.
Thank you. I'm sure Councillor Gallery would like to second that. Anything you want to highlight from there, Councillor Peart or Gallery? No? All
no
in favor?
highlights, just a
yeah.
reminder and a refresher that this is fairly new for us in publishing these minutes. It's an ongoing effort to improve the transparency in the administration.
Perfect. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item number 24, tabling of the Local Heritage Council minutes. Item number 24, le dépôt des procès-verbaux du Conseil local du patrimoine, Conseiller Roux.
Merci. Attendu que le Conseil local, local du patrimoine a tenu des réunions le 14 décembre 2021 et le 11 janvier 2022 et que les procès-verbaux sont déposés lors de cette séance du Conseil. Attendu que le comité consultatif d'urbanisme agit comme Conseil local du patrimoine de Westmount, conformément à l'article 117 de la Loi sur le patrimoine culturel, LRQC.P-9.002, attendu que le mandat du Conseil local du patrimoine est comme suit: d'étudier les dossiers qui relèvent de sa compétence, de formuler des avis au Conseil municipal à la demande de ce dernier sur toutes les questions relatives à l'identification et la protection du patrimoine de Westmount en vertu des pouvoirs donnés au chapitre 4 de la Loi sur le patrimoine culturel, RLRQ-CP-9.002, et de recevoir et entendre les représentations faites par toutes les personnes intéressées à la suite des avis donnés relatifs à des projets d'identification ou de citation. Je propose donc que le Conseil prenne acte et accepte le dépôt des procès-verbaux des réunions du Conseil local du patrimoine tenues le 14 décembre 2021 et le 11 janvier 2022.
Merci beaucoup. En appuyant, c'est Madame la conseillère Gallery. Tout en faveur. All in favor. Carried. Any further comments on this? Councillor Peart, I believe you were at both these meetings.
I was indeed. Accompanied by Councillor Gallery, yes.
Yeah. So any further comments on this or?
Nothing to comment today.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? We already voted on it, I believe, or all in favor. Item number 25 is Councillor Peart, Urban Planning Approval of Site Planning and Architectural Integration Programs. Councillor Peart.
Thank you, Madame la Mairesse. I move that council acknowledge and accept the minutes of the Planning Advisory. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead, my mistake. Let's go to the right page. I move that the Municipal Council act on the opinions of the Planning Advisory Committee, the PAC, as set out in the minutes of the meeting held on January 25th of 2022 minutes, and adopt for each of them the site planning and architectural integration programs conditions for the issuance of a permit as listed in the following items: CCU 22-01-25.03, CCU 22-01-25.05, CCU 22-01-25.07, CCU 22-01-25.08, CCU 22-01-25.10, and CCU 22-01-25.11 of the agenda meeting held on, of the agenda of the PAC meeting held on January 25th of 2022.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this, I'm sure will be Councillor Gallery. Any files to note in there?
Well, I'm just thankful that there are only the 7 because those are a difficult group to say in succession. But in this list today, we do have a final favorable approval from the PAC for the Scopi project or PPC project at 4216 Dorchester. And there are a couple of, there's at least one new house construction, and there is a significant residential addition as well. Just a refresher that these numbers that you see here refer back to the agenda items that were previously referred to in the PAC minutes. So that's a way to cross-reference them if these numbers don't really mean anything to you. You'll find the project and the text that accompanies them in the minutes.
Okay, thank you. And on the Dorchester project, that's the empty lot that is near Green Avenue, that is just west of Green Avenue, that had fire, had been demolished, has sat empty. So it will be good to have new housing in there for
Indeed,
for the neighborhood. Okay, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item number 26, urban planning, rejection of a site planning and architectural integration program. Again, Councillor Peart.
thank you, Madame Linares. As is my tradition, for the rejections, I will read the whereases. Whereas the minutes of the regular meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee held on January 25th of 2022 were tabled. Whereas the main role of the Planning Advisory Committee is to analyze and give an opinion on any request that must be submitted to it in accordance with the Land Use Planning and Development Act, CQLR CA-19.1, example SPAIP, minor exemption, Scopi, conditional uses, etc., and on any other application in matters of land use planning and development that is submitted to it by council. Whereas applications have been submitted by the applicants under Bylaw 1305 on site planning and architectural integration programs, whereas the Planning Advisory Committee has issued opinions regarding these applications as stated in the Planning Advisory Committee minutes of the regular meeting held on January 25th of 2022. Whereas according to Bylaw 1305 on site planning and architectural integration programs, council must decide on the opinions of the committee by way of resolution. Therefore, I move that the municipal council act on the unfavorable opinion of the Planning Advisory Committee, the PAC, as set out in the minutes of the meeting held on January 25th of 2022 in item CCU 22-01-25.01 of the agenda of said meeting.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Councillor Gallery. Any further comments on this, Councillor Peart, beyond the whereases?
If there are in the whereases, and again, I will point out that the reference, the fuller reference will be found in the PAC minutes. And if you refer back to that agenda item, you will find the background information for that unfavorable recommendation to council.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item number, now we're in new business 27.1. Which Councillor Peart and I had both referred to before, is the nomination membres du Comité consultatif d'urbanisme, le CCU. We move to 27.1, appointment of members of the Planning Advisory Committee, the PAC. Councillor Peart.
Thank you, Madame Linares. Whereas in accordance with Bylaw 1575 to establish a Planning Advisory Committee, the Planning Advisory Committee shall be composed of the following: 2 members of the Municipal Council, 5 other members appointed by the Municipal Council by resolution. Of these 5 members, 3 must be architects, 1 must be an urban planner, and 1 must be an urban planner, architect, or professional from a related discipline. These members must be members of their respective professional order, with the exception of any professional from a related discipline. Of these 5 members, 4 must be residents of the city. 1 substitute member, member of the Municipal Council, appointed by the Municipal Council resolution. Whereas the appointment and the renewal of a term of office for a committee member shall be established by Municipal Council resolution. I move that the municipal council appoint the members of the Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, effective February 7th, 2022, as follows. That Mr. Clément Desmarais be appointed as president for a term of 1 year. That Ms. Carol Scheffer be appointed as vice chair for a term of 2 years. That Mr. Gerald Seiferman be appointed as a permanent member for a term of 1 year. That Mr. David Hanna and Mr. Brian Karasik be appointed as permanent members for a term of 2 years.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Councillor Gallery. I mean, we've commented earlier on in the meeting, but again, I would just thank those Ms. Gershowitz and Mr. Morosi for all their years of service, and welcome the new members to the PAC and the CCU to continue the excellent work and advisory committee of the PAC that we've known in Westmount for these many years. So do you have any further comments on this, Councillor Peart?
Just a point of precision, if anybody is wondering why the terms are not identical for all members of PAC, it is deliberate such that there is it guarantees or supports a rotation of the membership of PAC such that there isn't a full replacement on a 2-year cycle. So there's an overlap, which helps with maintaining our institutional memory.
Perfect, thank you. And then in the coming the weeks, months, we will be appointing as well the substitute member.
Indeed.
So all in favor? Carried. That is the last item on the agenda tonight. So we'll now move to the second question period, la deuxième période de questions. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions, Monsieur le greffier?
Non, il n'y a pas d'autres questions, Madame la mairesse.
Okay, on that note, the meeting is adjourned, and I think the next meeting, the public meeting, I believe, is February 21st, Monday, the 21st. Mr. Hakim, the Director General, you're on mute.
Just a point of clarification. I was just wondering if at item number 15, there was a vote.
I believe there was a vote. To be sure, you'd like me to read the motion again to take another vote?
No, I just want to
Can we
make
just
sure
vote
that-
on it? On the purchase of for Hydro Westmount, item number 15, can we vote again? Are all council members in favor? Yes, indeed, and I believe Mr. Aronson had seconded that motion. Okay, thank you.
Very much.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Good night. Bonsoir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.